The financial aid counselor looked at her screen, then at me, then back at her screen. She had the careful expression of someone delivering bad news for the second time that morning. She said, "According to our records, the 529 account associated with your student ID was closed 14 months ago. The full balance, $67,400, was withdrawn." I said, "That's impossible." She turned the monitor toward me. There was the account. There was my name on it. And there was the transaction history showing a series of withdrawals beginning in April of last year and ending, completely emptied, in June. I had been about to start my freshman year at Ohio State. I had been planning around that money for as long as I could remember. My parents had mentioned it at every milestone. When I got good grades, when I made honor roll, when I got into college. "Don't worry about the money," they said. "The fund is there." Except it wasn't there anymore, and I was fairly certain I knew where it had gone. Hello, everyone. Before we dive into this story, please take 2 seconds and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow and lets us keep bringing you these stories. Now let's get into it. Chapter 1. The Fund, the Family, the Setup. My name is Dominic, and I am 22 years old. I have one sibling, my brother Elijah, who is 3 years older than me. Our parents are Marcus and Yvonne, both educators. My dad is a high school principal. My mother is an elementary school teacher. We grew up in Columbus, Ohio, in a neighborhood where people mowed their lawns on Saturdays and knew their neighbors' names. We were not rich, but we were comfortable. My parents were thoughtful about money. My dad drove his cars until they stopped running. My mother clipped coupons from actual newspapers. They talked about compound interest at the dinner table. The 529 accounts were opened when we were born, one for me, one for Elijah. My parents contributed to them consistently for years. Extended family contributed on birthdays. By the time I was in high school, my parents told me mine had grown to just over $60,000. They told me it was for college. They told me it was mine. Elijah's fund was similar. Chapter 2. Elijah. I want to be fair to my brother here because nothing that happened was entirely his fault. Elijah is intelligent. He has always been intelligent. He is also the kind of person who cannot stay in one lane for long. In high school, he was briefly convinced he was going to be a professional musician, then an architect. Then he got deeply into a multi-level marketing scheme. He enrolled in Ohio State using his 529 fund. He changed his major 4 times in 3 semesters. Then he announced college wasn't for him right now and withdrew. He was 20. He came home. My parents responded with extraordinary accommodation. They let him move back in, covered his phone bill, his car insurance, his groceries. He contributed nothing. I watched this from high school. I watched my parents exhaust their patience with zero apparent limit when it came to Elijah. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself my fund was untouched. Chapter 3. Elijah's Business. When Elijah was 21, he announced he wanted to start a business, a food truck. He had a plan. He showed my parents a spreadsheet. Which, given that I eventually saw it, was ambitious in vision and loose in math. The startup costs he estimated were around $85,000. I was 17 at the time. I didn't think much of it. I assumed help meant small amounts. A loan, maybe, the kind of family support that comes with strings and a repayment schedule. Senior year, I got into Ohio State with a partial merit scholarship, $8,000 per year. Combined with my 529 fund, my parents had always indicated we'd be fine. In March, I sat down with my dad to talk about the financial plan for college. He seemed uncomfortable in a way I attributed at the time to general parental anxiety about big expenses. He said the fund had taken some hits, but should be mostly there. He never did. I asked twice more over the following weeks. Each time he said he'd look into it and changed the subject. I should have pushed harder. I know that now. But I trusted them. Chapter 5. Orientation Day. I found out at the financial aid office during freshman orientation. I had gone in to finalize my package, the scholarship, the expected family contribution from the 529, and the small amount I was taking in loans. The counselor, her name was Ms. Patterson, pulled up my account and found nothing. I have already described what she told me. I want to describe what happened in my body. It was very quiet in my chest and in my head. The kind of quiet that precedes something loud. I sat on a bench outside for 45 minutes, watching parents moving mini fridges. Then I called my father. He answered on the second ring. I said, "I'm at the financial aid office. My 529 is empty. There was a pause that lasted long enough for me to understand. Chapter 6. The Explanation. My parents drove to campus that afternoon. They sat across from me in a Panera near the quad, and they explained what had happened. The food truck had cost more than projected. It always does. Elijah had run into problems. The initial truck was a lemon, required extensive repairs. Then a health code issue shut him down for 6 weeks, which depleted his operating capital. By the time the full story had been told, the number was $54,000 from my fund. The remaining $13,000 had been spent on a family emergency, my grandfather's care. They said it was a loan in their minds. Did they plan to tell me? Eventually, yes, once things stabilized. Did they consider asking me first? They didn't think they needed to because they intended to replace it. Was there a repayment agreement with Elijah? Not a formal one. I said, "You took my money for my education. You gave it to Elijah without telling me, and then you let me go through senior year thinking I had it." My mother said, "We thought we could fix it before you found out." Chapter 7. What I did. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I said I needed time to think, and I walked back to my dorm. For the next 72 hours, I worked. I met with Ms. Patterson again. She walked me through every option: unsubsidized loans, emergency grants, work study. I called my other grandfather. I told him what happened. He said, "What do you need?" By the end of that week, I had a revised financial picture. It was not comfortable. I was taking on significantly more in loans. I was not going to have to leave school, but I was going to graduate with debt. Chapter 8. The Family Response. My parents called every day for 2 weeks. I answered when I felt ready to talk calmly. The conversations were apologetic without being accountable. Elijah had always been the emergency. Since childhood, he had moved from crisis to crisis, and my parents had always mobilized their resources in his direction. I had been so consistently not an emergency that I had become something like furniture in their mental model of the family: stable, reliable, present, not requiring intervention. The 529 fund felt like a resource that was safe to use because I would be fine. Dominic doesn't need it the way Elijah does. The fact that I needed it had somehow not computed. Chapter 9. Elijah. I saw Elijah at Thanksgiving. He said, "Bro, I'm really sorry. I didn't know they were going to do that." I said, "But you knew you were taking money from somewhere." I told him I wanted it in writing and notarized. He looked surprised by that. I said, "Elijah, I love you, but we are past the point where a verbal commitment is sufficient." He agreed. The notarized agreement has not resulted in a payment. That was 2 years ago. My relationship with my parents has changed in a way that I think is permanent. Not ended, but different. I understand that they love me. I also understand that their love for me has always been somewhat conditional on my not needing anything. That their emotional and financial energy has always flowed toward the child who was most obviously in crisis. And I was never that child because I handled things myself. My mother apologized to me in a real way about 8 months after it happened. Not the cry and express regret version. An actual apology that named what she had done and acknowledged why it was wrong. I told her I accepted it. I told her it didn't undo the debt I was carrying. My father has never given me a full apology. He has expressed regret. That is different. I have made my peace with the fact that it may be the best he's capable of. Chapter 11. Where I am now. I am a junior. I am on track to graduate. I am carrying $41,000 in student loans that I should not have had to take out. I am also carrying a GPA that I am proud of. My grandfather, my mom's dad, helped me over the summer between freshman and sophomore year. He covered 1 semester of room and board, unsolicited, when he found out the full extent of what happened. He said, "This is not a loan. It is not charity. It is a correction." I cried. I think about what I would tell a younger version of myself. I think I would say, trust is not the same as verification. Loving your family does not require assuming they will always do right by you. The money was mine. It was spent without my knowledge or consent. What I do with that fact is the only thing I actually control. I am choosing the larger story. I'll see you in the next one.